Hey there, my name is E.W. Buckley, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I love synths and the evocative, otherworldly character that they add to my music. But I also want my music to feel real and tangible and organic. But I don't believe for a second that this idea of organic synthesis is a contradiction. In essence, I want my music to feel alive, and if you're watching this, then chances are you do as well. Today, I want to share with you some of my favorite techniques for creating synths that feel deeply organic. If you want to follow along with the exact instruments that I'm showcasing in today's video, you can get all of them by joining my Patreon at the artist tier. That support is exactly what keeps the channel going. Let's head back to the studio and we'll talk about these techniques. The first technique that I want to share with you is using FM synthesis to create organic sounds. Now, depending on how familiar you are with FM synthesis, you might be surprised to find that it does a great job at creating organic sounds. And that's because FM has a bad reputation of being overly sterile, but it doesn't have to be. FM is great for organic sounds because it allows you to dial in the kind of complex harmonics that you need easily. And the reason why we need these complex harmonics is because any sort of acoustic sound or instrument is filled with a whole bunch of inharmonic overtones. To demonstrate, let's look at my Harmonic Mallets instrument. If we look at the operator that's nested here in this rack, we will see that all 4 operators have their course set to 1, which means that they are all at a 1-to-1 ratio with whatever MIDI note is coming in. These would create harmonic overtones, but operators B and D have their fine set to 238 and 675 respectively. And so in reality, operator B and D are working at a 1.238 to 1 ratio and a 1.675 to 1 ratio respectively. And that creates these really rich and complex harmonics because they're not perfect ratios. Here's another example where I'm using Ableton's Drift to create some really bell-like sounds. I have oscillator 1 and 2 set to sine waves, and oscillator 2 is an octave and a perfect fifth higher than oscillator 1. But where we really get this timbral complexity is the fact that I have our LFO set to ratio, and it's at a ratio of 2.5. And that's modulating the pitch of both oscillators by 10%. And as a result, it creates these really complex bell-like sounds. The second technique that I want to share with you is a focus on randomization and imperfections. And I find that one of the easiest, most effective tools for achieving that in your music is randomized LFOs. In my dramatic motion pads instrument, I'm using Drift, and I have its second envelope set up to cycle envelope, and at a sync rate of 1/8. And that sounds like this. But I have our LFO set to the Wander waveform, which is a randomized waveform, and it's modulating a whole bunch of parameters across the device, including the rate of the sync envelope. And listen to how much more alive this sounds once I bring up this LFO amount. I have a similar example here with my Pad of a Lifetime instrument, in which I'm using the randomized Wander LFO on Drift to modulate the oscillator shape, the filter cutoff, and a little bit of pitch modulation as well. And also, I get a lot of comments on a number of my older videos about what was the sound that I used to create the little bumpers between chapters. And that's this. It is this instrument, it's this patch, and if you want a full breakdown on how to make this, watch this video. The final technique that I want to share with you is combining other forms of synthesis with physical modeling. Now, physical modeling is its own type of synthesis and is awesome for everything that we're discussing here, but I really love the combination of more traditional forms of synthesis with physical modeling, and that's the technique that I want to show you. This is my cinematic Resostrings instrument, which was created by running an instance of Drift into Ableton's Corpus. Now, even though Corpus is an audio effect, you can actually play Corpus, but it's monophonic, and I knew that I wanted this instrument to be polyphonic. So I resampled the output and loaded it up into Sampler. I then followed the output with a pretty aggressive hybrid reverb setup that's 100% wet, and the result sounds awesome. To demonstrate this kind of technique in real time, let's go ahead and look at my endless string instrument. So if I expand the rack here, we're going to see that the main instrument is actually an instance of Sampler that just has a bunch of recordings of hand percussion in it. And the thing that's actually making the tonal sounds that we hear in the instrument is the instance of Corpus that I have in this resonator rack that's nested deeper within this instrument. Is so complicated. But I'm using the MIDI input of Corpus so that it's listening to the input coming into this MIDI channel. And so we're effectively creating this monophonic instrument. And it sounds both like a bunch of string instruments that you've heard before and unlike any string instruments you've heard before, and it's really cool. I could sit and play that thing all day, but you get my point. Why don't we head back outside to wrap up? I'm constantly striving to make music that forces digital and organic sounds into a direct confrontation with one another. I make my music in the box using Ableton Live, and that tension gives my music a sense of place despite the fact that I make it in a very intangible space. As an artist, something emerges for me in the sonic in-between in which I really feel like I can express myself creatively. These techniques help me find that space for myself, and I hope they'll help you as well. Thank you so much for watching. Please consider liking, subscribing, and leaving a comment. I'm working really hard to grow this channel to 50,000 subscribers by the end of 2026, and it's your support entirely that makes it possible. And if you want all of the instruments showcased in today's video, consider signing up for my Patreon. That support directly keeps this channel going. Till next time.